Okay, it's Andy Lockwood here, going through the new Common Application. Could be one of the more boring videos you'll ever watch. I'm going to try to make it a little more interesting. I'm on commonapp.org, and what we're going to be focusing on is how to load up colleges and how to identify whether they require you to write supplemental essays and some tips on how to manage that process. So I'm going to hit login, although I don't think that I have created an account yet. So I'm going to do this because I did this last year, so they're asking me to roll over the account. So if that's the case, if you already started registering for some reason, then for last year's application, that's what you would do, but most people won't have this, so you may not even see this site. So let's see, when you plan to start college, I'm going to say 2018, and you want to check off all this stuff. If you don't check it off, it's totally up to you, but if you don't check it off, you're not going to be able to do the Common App. So I already selected some colleges just to save some time. So let's say I'm going to continue with all these schools. I'm a student. Yes, I am. So let's talk about the essays. And I'm going to give you some advice on how to manage this whole process. Now, I'm not talking about here the actual Common Application essay, where you have these choices. That is the subject of a separate webinar that we did and a book that we created when we went through each of these prompts. Instead, what I'm talking about is the colleges. So I'm trying to find the colleges that I selected. Supposedly they're supposed to roll over, but of course they didn't. So I have to go to the college search section and start adding some colleges. So let's say I'm going to go for Northeastern. I found it. So I'm adding that. Okay. Just in the interest of time, let's look at the Northeastern University specific information. So just to give you the 35,000-foot view, there's the Common Application, which has all this basic info that goes to every school, including one of these 7 essay prompts. But then, once you start adding colleges, okay, this time it stayed, there may be some extra supplemental information that they require. So they may have questions, which means additional writing, and they may have, I think they all have this recommenders and FERPA, which is one of my 2 favorite college application terms. There's FAFSA and there's FERPA. And you may be saying to yourself, what the FERP is FERPA? So let's look at that one first, because for some reason, I don't know why, the guidance counselors at most high schools get really, really uptight about, don't forget to check off FERPA. All that FERPA is a, I don't even know what it stands for, but it's something about the reporting stuff where you have to waive your right to read the recommendations from the people at your high school, the teachers that are and guidance counselors that are writing your recommendations. So that's why I'm getting this little pop-up screen here. So if you take care of that, which most guidance counselors help you with, then you won't see this pop up and you'll be able to check off that box which waives your right to read the recommendations. Okay, now let's get into the questions. So one of the questions here is about when you want to start. Are you applying early decision or something? Fee waiver, most people will not be able to qualify for that. And then, do you intend to pursue need-based aid? Now, if you say no, you will never be able to get any money from them. But so say yes if you are applying for need-based aid. There's always a question about whether that helps or hurts your chances of getting in. If anything, it hurts your chances slightly, probably not as much as people think. So I would take care of all these types of things. This is another question they're asking. So I don't see any other information that they are requiring, any supplemental information. So far, I don't know if they're going to let me continue here. All right, so far they have those questions, and now we're looking at the next questions, and you just have to answer these. These are not essay questions, so there's nothing really worth describing here. And this is interesting. If you have a resume, you can submit it there. I recommend that. These are more questions here for Northeastern, and done. So there really are no other essay questions. This is the first time I'm looking at this. So that was how it was last year too. Let's look at another school which is known for having a whole bunch of essay questions, at least in my circles, people in the biz. And I'm going to go right into their questions. And they have some generic stuff, as well as the need-based aid and all that. And then I'm just going to click through here. What activities interest you? That's kind of cool. And have you previously applied? Blah, blah, blah. All right, question 1. How did you become interested in Wake Forest University and why are you applying? That's a short essay. Anyone else who's attended Wake Forest? That is just a yes or no question. More family stuff. And their honors policy. Okay, so last year they had 5 essays, and this year it looks like they have only 1. So what that tells me is they didn't get as many applications as they were hoping for last year, and they wanted to make it easier to apply. So what I would suggest is you take each essay, you cut and paste it, you open up a Google Doc, and I'm going to do that right here, and you cut and paste each of the essays. I'm a big fan of Google Docs as opposed to Word or something, because if your, God forbid, laptop crashes, then you're done. You're dead. But if you have it stored in the cloud, then it's not so bad. So I would start off. I would make a document just like that. Maybe if you're feeling fancy, you would italicize it, and then you keep it there, and then you give yourself some space, and then you put a little line there, and then you insert your next college question. So I'm going to do that, but I'm going to pause this so you don't get too bored. I'm getting a little bored listening to myself, but that's just me. Okay, so I'm back here, and I added a few colleges. I added BU, Brown, Harvard. I went to add University of Chicago, and it looked like as of the date that I'm recording this, which is August 2nd, the date after the Common App was released, it looked like they had not yet released their questions, which is entirely possible. So I'm just double checking right now before I get into the other stuff. So let me add them here, see if I'm wrong or right. And I'm going to click on their questions, and they don't, let's see, I don't really see anything yet. But usually they're known for their really esoteric essays. There has been some talk about discontinuing those, but it looks like they might have done. So here, okay, writing supplement, questions. You may submit the writing supplement through the Common App or through their UChicago accounts. So there are other possibilities, I guess. If you go on to the UChicago, listen, not every school requires the Common App or accepts the Common App. So that's another debate, I guess, whether if a school has its own application, should you use that versus the Common App? My feeling is I don't think it really matters that much in the interest of time. Let's take a quick look at BU, particularly their questions. And let's see, down here, I'm skipping around. I'm going for the writing supplement, which I saw before. And if you click on essay questions down here, what excites you about being a student at BU the most? I'm going to do a separate video on how to answer these types of questions. But in the meantime, I'm cutting and pasting that here. Got that. So you get the point. I think this is a good way. The only thing I would add to this document is if you know you're applying early, like on November 1 or November 15th, I think I would highlight that here and prioritize it that way. This way you don't get things lost in the shuffle. So let me just pause this and do a few more of these just so you get the point if you haven't already. Here is Harvard's section of the Common App, and they have a required question, 2 optional questions, and then they have a writing supplement with 1 optional question. So let's just take a look at each one. Oh, plus they have the Common App personal essay. So let's just look at the college questions. Similar stuff. How are you applying? Need-based or not need-based? Supplementary materials. That's if you're an artist. That's kind of interesting. And then, more sort of drop-down questions, but requiring some thought. How definite are your extracurricular and athletic interests? That's kind of cool, right? So here is an essay about extracurricular stuff or additional intellectual activities that you have not mentioned or detailed elsewhere in your application. This could include supervised or self-directed projects, not done as schoolwork, training experiences, online courses, etc. So you'd want to cut and paste that one into the little document that you're creating. Oops. And I think you get the point by now. You got to search around and make sure that you're doing all of the essays. That is a good one that a lot of schools will have. So when you come to, I did say I was going to italicize these. When you come to a question that is shared by other colleges, I would suggest that you flag those some way also, because chances are that you will be able to repurpose some essays. Not all, definitely not all. But if you're applying to 10 or 12 colleges or more, and you have 15 essays to write about, then you may find that you only have 10 or something. It may not be 15 unique essays. So not everyone's applying to Harvard, but I just want to make the point here that you want to pay attention to all their sections, all their essay questions. Okay, hope you found this video helpful, and if you have any questions, my contact information is right here. Bye-bye.